Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Jaya Om Vishwapara Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Astottara Satasri Srimad Abhaya Saranaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Garadhara Sri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sre Sre Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamunda Radha Kunda Kirikavatram Ki Jai Grantaraj Chaitanya Caritamrta Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru. All glories to Prabhu. Namami Sware Krishna Prasthya Bhutan Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Saraswati Guru Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Jai Shri Caitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Jai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda.
So this morning we are reading from Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Adi-Lila 1:456, entitled The Confidence of Reasons for the Appearance in Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. If you have your phone, you can follow Adi-Lila 1:456. Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dvaite Hadari Anyonye Vilasa Rasa Asvadanakari
Radha Krishna Ekatma
Dvaite Hadari Anyonye Vilasa Rasa Asvadanakari Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dvaite Hadari Anyonye Vilasa Rasa Asvadanakari
Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dvaite Hadari Anyane Vilase Rasa Asvadanakari
Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dvaite Hadari Anyonye Vilasa Rasa Asvadanakari
Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dvaite Hadari Anyane Vilase Rasa Asvadanakari.
Word by word, Radha Krishna.
Radha Krishna
Radha and Krishna.
Radha and Krishna
Eka,
Eka
one. Atma,
Atma
self.
Self
Dui, two. Deha,
Deha
Baris,
Maris
Thai, assuming. Anyonye,
Anyane
one another.
One another
Vilase,
Vilase
they enjoy.
They
Rasa,
Rasa
the mellows of love.
Melos
Asvadanakari,
Asvadanakari
tasting.
Tasting
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies. Thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. The two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to materialists. The above description of Radha and Krishna from the priori, Srila Swarup Damodara Goswami, is a condensed explanation, but one needs great spiritual insight to understand the mystery of these two personalities. One is enjoying in two. Sri Krishna is the potent factor and Srimati Radharani is the internal potency. According to Vedanta philosophy, there is no difference between the potent and the potency. They are identical. We cannot differentiate between one and the other any more than we can separate fire from heat. Everything in the Absolute is inconceivable in relative existence. Therefore, in relative cognitions, it is very difficult to assimilate this truth, the oneness between the potent and the potency. The philosophy of inconceivable oneness and difference propounded by Lord Caitanya is the only source of understanding for such intricacies of transcendence. In fact, Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna, and she eternally intensifies the pleasure of Sri Krishna. Impersonalists cannot understand this without the help of a Mahabhagavata devotee. The very name Radha suggests that Srimati Radharani is eternally the topmost mistress of the comforts of Sri Krishna. As such, she is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavan therefore seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Sri Krishna. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally approaches the fallen conditioned souls of the Iron Age to deliver the highest principle of transcendental relationships with the Lord. The activities of Lord Chaitanya are primarily in the role of the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. The absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the omnipotent form of transcendental existence, knowledge and bliss in full. His internal potency is exhibited first as Sat, or existence, or in other words, as the portion that expands the existence function of the Lord. When the same potency displays full knowledge, it is called Chit, or Samvit, which expands the transcendental forms of the Lord. Finally, when the same potency plays as a pleasure-giving medium, it is known as Hladini, or the transcendental blissful potency. Thus the Lord manifests his internal potency in three transcendental divisions. This verse was Radha Krishna Eka Atma Durite Hadari Anyone Vilasarasa Asvadana Kari. Radha and Krishna are one and the same, but they have assumed two bodies, thus they enjoy each other, tasting the mellows of love. Om Akyana Timirandasya Kyana Chana Salakaya Saksun Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So we learned that Radha and Krishna are one and the same, and now they have assumed two roles in order to enjoy themselves. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning, he says that the two transcendentalists, Radha and Krishna, are a puzzle to materialists. That means that they cannot understand how the Supreme Lord expand himself into two in order to enjoy. But how can they be at the same time one and separate? as we know from our philosophy, that in order to enjoy pleasure, there must be two. Sometimes they think that I can be happy myself also. That usually means here in the material world where we are living, that in that state there is no sufferings, and this state is considered to be happiness. But we learn from Shastra that to enjoy pleasure, it actually requires at least two persons. And this enjoyment, it comes from the loving relationships with these two. The highest form of that loving relationship is exhibited by Radha and Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Radharani is his internal potency, as we learned from this purport. Although we can also think that Krishna is one and Radha and Krishna are like the same, but it's easier to understand for us to understand that Radharani is Krishna's internal potency. And in this purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how according to our Vedanta philosophy, how the potent and potency, they are one and the same. At the same time, they are also different. And how to understand this, it's not possible. One can understand it only by this inconceivable oneness and difference philosophy propounded by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So the materialistic persons, they cannot understand these complicated philosophies which are presented in Vaishnavism, and this can be only understood through the medium disciplic succession. If we are in contact with the disciplic succession, Guru Parampara, like this Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava disciplic succession, then we can understand these things, we can get the information, we can get the knowledge and realization through this Guru Parampara to understand these things. But if we try to understand them through academic education, for example, or by our own limited material intelligence, it's not possible. Then we just invent some theories that it is imagination, or it is some kind of psychological imagination and so on. It is something that the brains and mind have concocted for some reason. And the Srila Prabhupada here says that those also who are followers of Advaita Vada philosophy, for them also it is difficult to understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. They may see them more like the material activities that Krishna is exhibiting here in the material world. Krishna appears here in the mode of goodness and he performs some material activities in the mode of goodness, and if we read or hear about these activities, then we become purified, and then we can attain Brahman realization in one point. But Prabhupada here says that actually Advaita Vadis cannot understand these pastimes of Radha and Krishna without the help of Mahabhagavata, recent devotee of Sri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada in the beginning, when he was speaking about Radharani and Krishna and Radha and their pastimes, he did not reveal much. He spoke the philosophy, but about the pastimes and the personality of Radharani and her activities, he mostly explained that Radharani is the internal potency of Sri Krishna. As we learned also from this purport, Krishna has spiritual potencies, and they can be divided into three. One is this sub-potency. Here it is explained this at the end. Sub or existence potency, which as it is explained, that it maintains the existence of the living entities, the Supreme Lord, and the spiritual world, like that. And then there was Chit potency, also somewhat with this knowledge potency. We can know who we are, and we can know who Krishna is, and so on. And then there was Hladini potency, this internal potency, which is Krishna's pleasure-giving potency. And it is explained that Radharani, she is that potency, Hladini potency, who gives pleasure to Sri Krishna. Actually, Srimati Radharani's whole purpose of existence is to love Krishna and give pleasure to Krishna, to make Krishna happy. This is on the transcendental platform. If we can understand this, then we don't have this material, mundane concept of Radha and Krishna, that they are like loving affairs, like an ordinary, mundane boy and girl. And that was the reason why Srila Prabhupada in the beginning, and later on also, he didn't much speak about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. He spoke mostly only the philosophy. Because we have been here in the material world for a long time, and we have certain these samskaras, conceptions in our mind, and we can apply these conceptions, mundane conceptions, to pastimes of Radha and Krishna also, to think that they are like mundane pastimes, loving pastimes, and some mundane loving pastimes, and some boy and girl in this world. And this way we can make offenses against Radha and Krishna, and this is again hampering our advancement in Krishna consciousness. And this is also the reason, at least it can be the reason why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to worship always Gauranitai deities, although they installed Radha Krishna deities, but the Gauranitai deities were always there also. We do not worship Radha Krishna without Gauranitai deities. First we always worship Gauranitai deities, and then we worship Radha Krishna deities. And Srila Prabhupada also explained that when we worship Radha Krishna, we worship it in a way that the Lakshmi Narayan are worshipped, that is Vaidhi Bhakti, and this is worship done with many rules and regulations. And the reason is again that Otherwise, if we would worship Radha Krishna in immature state, not to be still mature, not to be still enough purified from the heart, then we can again make offenses, and this again would hamper our advancement in Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada mostly he explains the Radharani's philosophical position as the Krishna's internal potency, how she is giving pleasure to Krishna, giving happiness to Krishna. And later on, of course, devotees, they have translated many books of the Goswamis, and we can study also these pastimes of Radha and Krishna from these books. But it is again good that we thoroughly study Bhagavad Gita first, so that we can understand everything from the philosophical point of view, and we can understand the difference between mundane activities and transcendental activities also, before starting to study these pastimes of Radha Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada, he also wrote this Krishna book, where he is commenting these pastimes. So this reading the Krishna book is also very beneficial and is very safe also, because there are these Srila Prabhupada's commentaries. So in this way, we can read or hear Radha Krishna's pastimes if we have this background that we have studied our Srila Prabhupada's books well. And we have followed this sadhana process, then our heart is purified from impurities, these anarthas, and we can then raise the pastimes of Radha and Krishna without any offenses. So Radharani appeared also in this world when Krishna appeared. When Krishna appears, from the spiritual world, from all his father, mother, relatives, and Krishna's eternal consort, Srimati Radharani, they also appeared along with Vrindavan Dhama to this material world, when it is time for Krishna to come here and to exhibit his pastimes. So Radharani's appearance is described in our scriptures at least in two ways. So the one way is that usually what we hear is that Rishabhan Maharaj, who was Radharani's father, and Kirtira was her mother, they were once taking their bath in Yamuna river, and then they found a basket, and or was it a lotus flower, and in that lotus flower there was a baby floating there in the river, and then they took the baby and adopted her as their own daughter. And then they raised up that daughter. And the other explanation or description is found from Padma Purana, and it is similar to the appearance of Sita Devi, where it is said that Rishabhana Maharaj, once he was doing this ritualistic plowing of the field. This plowing of the field in some religious rituals is like a common activity which is done. And then by doing so, the plow lifted up from the earth the baby girl, which once again Rishabhanu Maharaj and Kirtana Devi adopted as their own daughter and raised her up. And then later on, when Radharani was growing up, then she, in one point, met Krishna there in Vrindavan. Actually, it was explained that she didn't open her eyes after she was found for a long time, and parents were very much disturbed for this, and they didn't know why it is so. But then once there were meeting between Nanda Maharaja, who was the Krishna's father, and Rishabhanu Maharaj, who was the father of Radharani, and Krishna was also there. They were almost in the same age. Krishna was like 2 weeks older. And then when they happened to meet these babies, Krishna and Radharani, then Radha finally opened her eyes because she wanted that it is Krishna who she would like to see first thing in her life when she opens her eyes. So, and then many pastimes took place between Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. And then in one point when they were grown up, Krishna leaves Vrindavan, and there are many explanations that actually Krishna doesn't never leave Vrindavan, that Krishna that leads Vrindavan, it is actually this Vasudeva part of Krishna. And the original Krishna stays in Vrindavan in his Bhava expansion. So it means that he was not visible there, but he was there. And these inhabitants of Vrindavan, then in the absence of Krishna, they always felt Krishna's presence there. Similarly, Srimati Radharani and all her milkmaid friends and servants, they also felt Krishna's presence there. Then there are little different explanations in different Puranas. According to Bhagavata Purana, Krishna left Vrindavan, never returned. According to Padma Purana, he once returned and stayed in Vrindavan for some time before leaving again Vrindavan. And according to these Puranas, Radha and Krishna, they met at Kurukshetra once when there was a solar eclipse, and Krishna from Dwaraka came to Kurukshetra, and Radharani and other milkmaids, they went to see Krishna there at Kurukshetra and met there. This is in one Goswami's play, this story told. So we now learn that Srimati Radharani is Krishna's eternal counterpart. You can take that he is equal to Krishna, like Krishna's expansion, or one can think that she is Krishna's internal potency. Also, in one sense, same than Krishna, and at the same time different from Krishna. So there is no actual difference then from the spiritual point of view, both potent and potency. And her this whole purpose of existence is to give pleasure to Krishna and love Krishna And the whole love for Krishna, it is emanating from Srimati Radharani, and all love, whatever love there is in this material world, even that is also coming from Srimati Radharani. Although here in the material world is like contaminated by three modes of material nature, it's not in its pure form, but it can be purified. And this, according to our sampradaya, this love for Krishna is also possible to revive or get in our own hearts. So Prabhupada was also explaining about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is said to be Radha Krishna combined again together, that he approaches the fallen conditioned souls this iron age to deliver the highest principle of transcendental relationships with the Lord. Okay, you understood. The activities of Lord Chaitanya are primarily in the role and the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. Alright, what does that mean? Primarily in the role and the pleasure-giving portion of his internal potency. As far as I understand, Lord Chaitanya's role is to love Krishna and give pleasure to Krishna. And this is also the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is to teach conditioned souls to love Krishna and to give pleasure to Krishna. So now we can ask, what is this to give pleasure to Krishna? This is bhakti. Bhakti means give the pleasure to Krishna. If you don't know it yet, at least now you know. Bhakti means that we give pleasure to Krishna. For example, we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, where the name of Radharani is also mentioned. This is to give pleasure to Krishna. Sometimes we think, is it meant to give pleasure to us or somebody else or what? But it is meant ultimately to give pleasure to Krishna. Therefore we chant Krishna's Radha's names very attentively. What do you think that somebody wants to please you and chants your name, and at the same time he's very sleepy? Or he's very inattentive, he's thinking something else and reciting your names is not very polite. So to chant Hare Krishna mantra is meant to give pleasure to Radha and Krishna, and therefore we try to do it attentively, means that we try to hear our chanting and concentrate our mind so that the mind follows the chanting. And this is the meaning of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He gave us to give the bhakti, meaning that we try to learn to give pleasure to Krishna and develop love for Krishna in our heart. There are some apasampradayas. Apasampradaya means that there are sampradayas display succession that have deviated from this original path, and they teach something else, that Lord Chaitanya is enjoying the loving affairs with Krishna. That also, but they explain that Lord Caitanya is enjoying the loving affairs with gopis. It was like that. Lord Caitanya is the enjoyer of the gopis. And it's like opposite what Lord Chaitanya actually told. He told that he is giving pleasure to Krishna, he is giving enjoyment to Krishna, and they teach opposite, so that they can take the role of Lord Chaitanya and also enjoy the opposite sex on the mundane platform, and then consider this to be some spiritual activity. So, therefore, this purity in this bhakti path is very important. Is that we follow this big succession, the spiritual masters, our own spiritual masters, Prabhupada, and whole this big succession, and we develop purity of the heart, so that we can really practice bhakti and give pleasure to Krishna, because bhakti is practiced with pure heart. Of course, our heart is not yet pure, but we are purifying it. So, and more pure it becomes, more pure our bhakti also becomes. And Radharani is the person who is guiding us through her personally and through her expansions like Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi, they are all Srimati Radharani's expansions, also these different copies in the spiritual world, they are also Srimati Radharani's expansions. And all of them are meant to give satisfaction and pleasure to Krishna. And if we follow in their footsteps, we also come to the same transcendental platform where we can give pure love to Krishna and satisfaction to Krishna. So I read a little bit about Srimati Radharani, about her names and the names at least. Nomenclature. This name, Sri Radha Radhika, she is Lord Krishna's greatest worshipper. This is Prabhupada saying in his books several times that meaning of Sri Radha is that she is the Krishna's greatest worshipper. And then there is this word Aradha, which means worshipping, render devotional service. This Sanskrit name, Aradha, this appears in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it refers to Srimati Radharani. And the name of Radha comes from that word Aradha, which was worshipping, render devotional service. And it is also often asked why Sukadeva Goswami doesn't mention her name in Bhagavatam. And one explanation is that because then if he would do that, then he would fall in ecstasy and couldn't continue his narration of Bhagavatam. But this, yes, that is good explanation. But this Radha is mentioned then elsewhere in other Puranas like Padma Purana. Her form, golden complexion, is it Kanchanata. This one, the Radharani's name, golden complexion, this is her form. Her form more charming than Kamadeva. The name is Madana Mohini. Beautiful Srimati, charming Haritya. Her face is a blossoming lotus, Vikasita Mukhambocha. Beautiful with splendid limbs, Vimalangi. Youthful Kishori. Her hands are lotuses, Padmahasta. Wonderfully fragrant, Visitra Vasini. Decorated with wonderful garlands, Chitra Malini. Fair, Gauri. Beautiful eyes, Su Lochana. Beautiful as a bakula flower, Bakula. Her face is like a moon, Chandramukhi. Then names according to qualities. All auspicious, Sarva Mangala, gentle and noble, Saumya Rupa, playful and charming, Lalita, free from lamentation, Visoka, one who conquers her senses, Jitendriya, pure, Vimala, thoughtfulness, Mati, unsurpassed, Anuttara, perseverance. So she has these qualities of perseverance, Kriti, modesty, Lajja, beauty, Kanti, fulfillment, Pushti, memory, Smriti, patience, Ksana, Ksama, the goddess, Devi, Gayatri. Gayatri, this is quality, I think so. Then the Sanskrit name, Savitri, self-effulgent, Swayam Prabha, intelligent, Buddhi, steadiness, Sthiti, most gentle, kind and generous, Saumya Datri, personified happiness and auspiciousness, Ksema, reclusive, Kapaniya, you know the reclusive meaning, like a hermit. I don't know exactly how to translate it in English. Reclusive means like a hermit. Anyway, it's one of her name qualities, and the Sanskrit name is Kapaniya. She gives fame. She gives name Yashoda. Yashoda. Very graceful. Atita Kamana. Kind. Paranugraha Karini. About her beauty, Srinivasa. Wise, Vedavati, saintly, Shadvi, fickle, Chanchala, delightful, Ratiprita, merciful, Kripavati, playful, Lila, pleasing, cool, Sitala, victory personified, Jaya. So this was nomenclature. This the one of the names. The Srimati Radharani, although she has like I think 1,000 names, but this was only one of these names. And these names were according to her wonderfully beautiful form and according to her wonderful, charming qualities. And all these qualities and her form were meant to satisfy Krishna. And then about her pastimes, you can read her pastimes from Krishna book. Then Jayadeva Goswami's Gita Govinda. Then Krishnadas Kaviraj's Govinda Lilamrita. Then Rupa Goswami's books like Lalita Madhava, Utsvala, Nilamani. Then more from Prabhupada's books like Antamux and Nectar of Devotion. And then teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And then poets, Vidyaspati, Sandidas, these two poets who appeared before Lord Chaitanya, they wrote poetry about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya, he very much relished about these poets. His secretary, Sarup Damodar, was reading these poets to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was listening to this poetry in an ecstatic mood. However, we know that these poets, they might be very bewildering if you don't have very, very pure heart and very transcendental consciousness. Therefore, better to read first Krishna book and Nectar of Devotion and study Bhagavad Gita thoroughly many times before entering into these more confidential descriptions of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. As you remember, I tried to say many times that if we have this mundane conception, when we try to read these pastimes, then we make common offenses, and these offenses are very detrimental to our advancement in Krishna consciousness, compared to the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Caritamrta, which are said to be on the same platform than pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but they are very purifying and there are no offenses. So today we are fasting up to noon to celebrate this Radharani's appearance. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that because Krishna is very strict and hard, we have to fast up to midnight when it is his appearance day. But because Srimati Radharani is very gentle and kind, we have to fast only up to midday. And then what Srila Prabhupada said something here. Here. Srimati Radharani is the medium transmitting the living entity's service to Sri Krishna. Devotees in Vrindavan therefore seek the mercy of Srimati Radharani in order to be recognized as loving servitors of Sri Krishna. As Srila Prabhupada explains elsewhere, that if we can please Srimati Radharani, then she can recommend us to Krishna. So we can actually approach Krishna only through Srimati Radharani. So what do you think about that? We cannot approach Krishna directly. It's not possible. We can do it only through Srimati Radharani. And therefore also when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, there is first the name of Radharani, which is Hare. we approach first Radharani by chanting her name, and then after that Krishna's name. And to get Krishna's mercy, we have to first get the mercy Srimati Radharani. And to get the mercy of Srimati Radharani, as I have learned, we have to first get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, we have to first get the mercy of our spiritual master. And to get the mercy of our spiritual master, we have to first to get the mercy of the devotees. Right, thank you very much for your attention. We end here. So now, if you have some comments, hopefully something you want to say, or questions, please say. Yes.
Thank you. How we can get the mercy of devotees?
By serving them,
Okay.
taking this humble position of a servant and rendering service to devotees. It's very easy in this way. But it's not easy because we have false ego. So somehow or other we have to control our false ego so that we can render service to devotees. Of course, this is a society, and everything is here organized. So we serve devotees through these authorities and organizations and like this. First of all, we have to do our own service. It is appointed to us. That's the first thing. And if you have extra time, we can render some extra service if it is possible. But it's very important to follow this organization, like we have had this very nice Janmashtami celebration here 2 weeks ago, and it was very well organized. Everyone followed this organization and authorities of this organization, and therefore it was very nicely organized. This whole festival, it went well, everything, and because it was well before advertised and calculated in the congregation. Therefore, there were many helpers who were helping, and then there were many guests coming here on that day. So the meaning is that we have to, in order to serve the devotees, we should follow the authorities and follow this organization as much as we have here in Helsinki Temple organization. Sometimes we feel that there is not much organization here. Everything is on a spontaneous platform. That's very good if it goes nicely like that, but sometimes it doesn't go. Okay, something else? Yeah.
On a day like this, appearance day, is it wise to pray directly on this kind of day, directly to Srimati Radharani?
Yeah, sure.
Japa? And if the answer is yes, then what kind of prayer should we be doing on this kind of day?
We can pray on behalf of others. This we can always pray
For others.
that they can advance in Krishna consciousness. And then we can ask something for us also to see our anarthas, for example, and get some determination to purify our heart from these anarthas, for example. But please be careful, because if you ask something, it may come. Purification may come. And then we say, Krishna, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
So it's asking for this purification of anarthas, maybe a little bit too.
You can ask, but say that please give it in a way that I can take it.
Okay.
But it's also good to see our own anarthas, what is there in the heart. That is not so dangerous. That Srimati Radharani can reveal what is there in our heart. But devotees, they traditionally offer prayers to Srimati Radharani on that particular day. But we should approach Srimati Radharani, not to Durga Devi. If you approach Durga Devi, then the result is very, very hard. Might be, can be also very purifying, but it comes in a very hard way. But if you approach Srimati Radharani, then it's kind and loving way that she is guiding us.
Is there any effect if we just pray straight for Krishna, like Krishna reveal this and that from our heart? So.
Yes, but this is like a super soul in the heart, who is hearing that prayer. If you pray directly to Krishna, it is super soul. Yes, that's good also, but then you have a relationship with super soul.
Yeah. Mystic yogi.
Mystic yogi, yes. It's different to pray this Vrindavan Krishna directly. It's completely different, but it's difficult to approach. So it's not easy. One has to be very pure and very on a very spontaneous platform. We are on the platform of Vaidhi Bhakti. We are not yet there. Therefore, this super soul most close to us. Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His grace Hanumanananda Prabhu ki jai.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.